Okay, so this is going to be a quick lesson on how to create the PARC flyer, the Halloween PARC flyer. So first off, you're going to have to get the file if you have not already got it already. I already have it in here. This is the public folder on the left. On my right, I have my folder. See, it says my name right here. And over here, it has public. So what I'm going to do is copy this over. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 after this one, so that way it doesn't copy over what I already have. And I'm going to drag this over here like that. And there we go. You should always close the public folder after you get the file off that you're looking to work with. So then I'm going to go ahead, open this up, and go ahead and double click on the assignment, the Indesign assignment. Okay, we're going to go ahead and open Indesign. It takes a little while. This project is only about changing a few things to make it, to create proximity, alignment, repetition, and contrast. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put another layer on this because we want to put a background color on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer. Right now there's 2 layers. The first layer here, this one, has all the Halloween stuff on it. On here, this is where all the text is at, on this layer here, the text layer. And notice that if you have this layer highlighted and you go to try to do something like type or something, you'll get this symbol on your mouse. And what that means is because you're on the wrong layer and it's locked. This one is not locked. I want to add a new layer though, because I want to put a color background on the back. So I'm going to move this layer all the way here to the bottom because it's going to be the very bottom layer. And I'm going to call it, I just double clicked and I'm going to call it color background. Press OK. And then what I'm going to do for this one is I'm just going to create a box with the pen tool. So this is going to, and what I want it to do is I want the box to be halfway through this bat and then go up here, here, and here. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. I'm going to click here. I'm just clicking, not clicking and dragging. I'm just clicking one time and one time only. Click here. And when you finish up this box, notice that there's a circle on the cursor on that pen. That means that you've completed this. And now I'm going to fill this with this pumpkin orange color. So I'm going to go to my eyedropper. Now if you hold down your tools, if you click on it and hold it down, notice that there's a lot of options on tools that have these little arrows. Do you see that arrow right there? And I just picked a different tool. I want the eyedropper tool, of course, but there's a lot of tools that have those options on it. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and click here on the orange. I'm going to click OK. And notice that it did the stroke. So that's not what I was looking for. I'm looking for, this is the stroke, this is the fill, and if you just click here in between, that takes you from one to the other. It's okay that the stroke is that color, but I want it to be orange, that color. So I'm going to go ahead, click on this again, click on the orange, and now I have my orange I'm looking for. Now, notice that I want this to kind of go along the bat, but not show below his wing. So I'm going to take the white selection tool, and I'm going to click on this little point right here. And actually, let me undo that. Sometimes when you do this, if it's already selected, it won't let you move the points. So what you want to do is deselect it, then go back on the point. I'm not clicking yet, and then click, and then go up and move this up like that. And that's pretty good. So now I'm going to go ahead and lock that because I don't want to be moving that around. And one other thing I like to do is I like to work in preview mode. Right up here is where you can toggle preview mode or normal mode or bleed or slug or presentation. I want to go to preview because then it gets rid of all the lines and everything else because we don't really need that for this project. So the first way I'm going to create PARC on here is I'm going to make a black box. So I'm going to click on here. Notice I can't do anything because I'm on this layer and it's locked. I don't want to be on this layer. I want to be on the text layer. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and create a box here, and notice there's nothing in it. It does have a black stroke, which I'm going to get rid of, and I'm going to go ahead and put a black stroke on it. Now I'm going to do that. There's a couple places you can do that, but this is why I like to go up here and do it is because I have swatches here. So I'm going to click on black, and there we go. It's filled in, and it looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and change the font on this, and what we decided for the font is we want to use impact. Now you got to be careful when you select text in InDesign, because if you go to select it, as a matter of fact, I'm going to deselect it. You go to select it and you miss it like that. What happens is you put another box there, another text box, and so when you go to try to select it, see that I can't select my text anymore because there's another box on top of it, and it's just screwing things up. So I'm going to undo that. One way to do it, I found a good way to do it, is just to click on your box with the pointer tool and then double click, and then you can get inside that text box fairly easy. That's the best way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and select impact, and I don't want monospace, I want all classes of fonts. So there's my impact font right there, and I'm going to change the color of that while it's selected to white. If it's not selected with the pen tool, or sorry, the text tool, and it's selected like this, that would change the background of this box, which we wouldn't want. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring it up here like that. The problem is it's going behind the box, so now I'm going to Object, I'm going to Arrange, and I'm going to bring it to the front, and there we go. Now we have our text in front. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom into this, and I'm going to go ahead and click and drag this down a little bit like so, and over. I am nudging this with my keyboard with the arrow keys on my keyboard. That's what's called nudging in the Adobe Suite. And you don't have to use your mouse to move things. If you want to finite move it, you would use the keyboard and the arrow keys. So I have that, looks good. Okay, this Halloween looks very boring. We've already started to make some proximity or PARC on this. Remember, it's proximity, alignment, repetition, contrast, and we've already made some proximity by separating this from this. But this, I'm going to get rid of this because we're going to go ahead and we're going to place in a logo. Now you can place in logos either by going to File and Place and going to the folder where this is located, or, and we'll just do that, click Open, and there it is, and then I can just click my mouse, or you can actually drag it in. I'll show you how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my folder here, and here is my logo right there. I believe that's it, or let's see. No, it's this right here, and you can just drag it in like that and click. So there's two ways to do it. Placing it's probably the better way, but anyway, so right now it looks too big, and here's the problem with it, with InDesign. Okay, I think this is a major flaw in the program, and they do it on purpose. But if I was to tell you, okay, I want you to size this, you know, if you were to click and drag on one of these boxes, look what happens. What it does is it crops it, okay? And then they have these little circles here to confuse you even more. So if you click like that, you're actually selecting inside of this box, and look what I can do. I can actually start hiding the text from view with that. This can be really confusing because people will try to move the box, and they're actually clicking on this and moving it with this, and then they move it over. This box stays here, and the text goes somewhere else, and it looks like it's lost. To me, it's just, I just don't like it. I don't like how they do this, because if I really want to size this, I want to hold the Shift key down to do it proportionally. That means I don't want it to stretch it, and I don't want it to make longer or anything. And I have to hold the Control key down. Now this will size both the word in the middle and the box. And there we go. And you want to make it a size where you can, where the, I'm sorry, I take it back. See, that screwed me up because I had it selected that way. Now we go. I'm sorry, here we go. So I'm holding Control Shift. See that? It didn't size with the box around it. It sized on the inside, which is fine, but then I'd have to move the box to coincide with the size of this, and it would be still over here. It's just, to me, it's just confusing for new users, okay? For power users, yeah, you get it, you've done it, you've dealt with it, that's fine. So now we've just changed that plain section up here and made it really look nice, okay? So... okay, so we're going to continue on down here. We got a lot of ugly text down here. I'm going to go ahead and hide my layers because I don't need to deal with that right now anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to separate all this text. Right now, all this text is in its own text box. Okay, notice how that it's all together, and I'm going to start separating this text. So the first thing I want to separate is the date because it's probably, and when you're creating PARC or proximity, you're looking for stuff that needs to stand out more than other information. So you're looking for information that needs to stand out more than other information. And this goes with the whole PARC principle: proximity, alignment, repetition, and contrast. We're really trying to make proximity right now. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and then I'm going to go ahead and make another text box up here, and I'm going to go ahead and paste it. And notice it's center aligned. And then I'm just going to go ahead and change the font to impact again, because we're going to keep with that. We're going to increase the size to, let's try 30. Notice that my text is hidden, because what happened is my text box isn't big enough. It didn't just disappear. All I have to do is make the text box bigger, and there it is. And actually, that's a pretty good size right there, so we're going to leave it that size. Notice I have this extra space down here underneath all this text. So what I want to do is I want to make my text box as close to the text as possible when I'm working with it. So this looks great, so I'm going to leave it here. Then the next thing that's probably important is the address. So I don't know if it's that important actually, but it's going to be something we're going to offset. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this, Control X, because I'm using a Windows machine. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit backspace a few times to get rid of those extra lines in this text box. See that? It gets rid of the extra top carriage returns that I had on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click in drag, and then I'm going to go ahead and paste. Okay. Now I'm going to see if there's any text underneath. It doesn't look like there is. And what I'm going to do to this one, I want to size this. I'm going to make it impact again. Okay, so I'm going to create it. Go ahead and make it impact. What I want to do is I want to, but what I want the text to do is kind of go, be the same width as my date here. So what I'm going to do is I might bump up the size maybe 2 more to 16. But what I'm going to do too is I'm going to go ahead, which is I bumped up the size right here. I'm going to go ahead and make the width a little bit more by using this. And let's see. It's not giving me the proper name of it. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and do this, and I'll explain to you what it is in a second. Well, I'm not getting my tool tips, so it's not giving to me. But what I want to do is I want to change the color of this. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight it again like this. There it is, horizontal scale. That's what it is. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the text like this because I want to change the text color. So I'm going to go ahead and use my eyedropper again, click on this, go ahead and click over there, and notice there we go. Now I want to make 2 lines to kind of offset this a little bit, to not only use lines for to align, but also to just make it, create proximity. Right now the stroke is black, and here's the stroke right here. So I'm going to change that color to our orange color, and I'll go ahead and click here, click there, click OK, and there's our orange color there. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the stroke on this thicker, and the stroke is right up here, and I'm going to go ahead and bump it up to 4. Then I'm going to Alt drag it down. I'm going to hold the Alt key down and drag this down, and that makes a copy of it. And it's better than copy and paste. I think it's way better. So now check out we're creating some proximity here, man. We're like separating things, important information, and just making it stand out and different, or more readable, I guess you could say. Now this is best dressed prices to be won right here. This is going to stand out because we want to get people to come to this party. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring this down a little bit. Oops, some of it disappeared, see that? And I'll just bring this down for now. And I'm going to put this in its own box in a second. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and create the text here. I'm going to paste it. Okay. And then I'm going to change it to impact again. We're just going to stick with impact for this whole thing. And I'm going to bring this up to probably 28. So we'll go down to 28. So it's not as big as this. And notice, it disappeared because there wasn't enough room. There we go. Prize to be won. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to leave this black but we're going to change the leading. See, the leading is the distance between these two lines here. And what I want to do is I want to just I want them to be closer. So I'm going to go here. Here's my leading right here. And I'm going to go ahead and bring it up like that. See, now they're closer together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a box. Wait, before I do that, let me size this. See, I like to keep my text boxes tight so they don't get in the way when you're clicking somewhere else and you're accidentally click on the text box. And then I'm going to go ahead and make a box around this, and it's going to be the same length as my lines here. And I'm going to go down a little bit, and I'm going to give it some nice air around this text. In other words, I'm giving it a margin. There's a nice space between the box and the text. Now watch, when I go ahead, I'm going to say no stroke. So I just clicked right here to get rid of the stroke, and I'm going to click here and click here with the eyedropper and put a fill in it. But actually I wanted a black or the orange fill, so let me try that again. Let's see. It's not working. Let's see. Well, let me pause this. So see, here's where the text boxes get in the way. What happened is I wanted to go select, or I wanted to, here's my box. See, I lost my box now. Hold on. There it is right there. I'm going to lose it again. But I went to go use this, and I kept on clicking on this text box here for my RSVP. You see, because it's in the way, and that's what happens when you have text boxes in the way. So I'm going to move this up. Find my box again. Hold on, it's going to come up. There it is right there. Click on it. Now I'm going to go back to my eyedropper, and I'm going to click, and there it is. Notice it's above the text, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Object, Arrange, and Send to the back. And that's a good example of what can happen when your text boxes are just flat out in the way. And a lot of times I'll be out of preview mode, and I'll put all my stuff outside just to get it out of the way. That's how I like to work. I like to put things a little at a time on here. Now what's cool about this is we're going to take and we're going to copy this and put this in this. And the reason why we're going to copy this information up here, or we're going to actually alt drag it, that way we don't have to recreate the lines and change the font and all the other stuff. So I'm going to hit Alt, and then I'm going to go ahead and line it up like that. I'm going to bring it down a tad bit with my arrow keys on the keyboard. Now all I have to do is change this text, and I can make it the RSVP. And I'm just going to type it, RSVP, and then Mira, and then Carlson. Okay, now I can just get rid of this information right here. So I'm going to start from the left of my N here, and I'm going to go up, because that means I want to delete all that, and see that it brings it right up there. The reason I like to do that on a text box, because then it gets rid of all that extra space above this part. Now all we have to do is we have to put this information, and we'll be done with this. The whole thing will be done. So the way you do that is this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually use some tabs to fix this. Okay, and we're not going to make this center align like it is. So the first thing we want to do is change the font. And this information is not as important as some of the information that I've made stand out, like the best dressed and the date. Those are probably more important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click right here, and I'm going to make this left align. So I'm going to click it left align, and then I'm going to bring the phone number up here and hit space once. Okay, and then let's change the font. So let's go here. We're going to make it impact, and then I'm going to go ahead and bring this text box right there, even like that. And then I'm going to make this side even here, and I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to leave the phone number black too. So you get some, once again, you get the contrast to create the proximity. Okay. So then, actually I'll bring down the phone number a little bit like that. All right, so now I'm going to highlight, and I'm going to highlight the text here. And I'm going to create tabs. Everybody loves to space things over. Why don't we just do this? Let's just hit space a bunch of times. No, wrong. You never do that in graphic design, because what happens is it looks right on the screen, but when you go to print, it looks bad. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do is we want to set a tab, and then use the tab key to tab it. So I'm going to go to type here, and I'm going to go to tabs, And I'm going to use a right align tab. This is a right align tab, and that means that anything that you tab on this will be aligned to the right of the tab. So everything will go this way from the tab. So I'm going to go ahead and click, make sure that's selected. Oops, I already put one down here. If you accidentally put a tab down, you don't want it down there, just click and drag it down. So then I'm going to put this tab right there, and I can move this if I want. See that I'm moving it? I'm going to make it so it goes all the way here. And now all I have to do is put the insertion point in front and hit tab, and there we go. And I might want to bring it over just a tad bit more like that. And there we go. And that looks good. Now we have that separation we need, and there's the phone, the email. We don't have a phone number on this, which is interesting, but that's fine. And I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. And then here's all our information down here. Now I'm going to go ahead and just take a look at this and maybe try to center align it a little bit on the page there. That looks good. And then I'm going to double click on the hand tool. What that does is zoom out. Now you can click here, you can hold the Alt key down and then hit the scroll bar. That's one way to zoom out. I'm going to double click on the hand tool because it zooms out perfectly. So look what we did. Looks great, looks awesome. I haven't saved this. Yikes. Save often, SOS. Save often student. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then what I'm going to do so it's perfect. So I took the PARC principle and I applied it to this and made a plain flyer and made it more interesting with all the things that we did to it. So now what we have to do is we're going to go to File and Export, because we're going to export this to put it on our website. We're going to export it as a PNG and also a PDF. So to get it graded, you will need to make it a PDF. And to make it to put it on your website, you'll make it a PNG, but you'll also use the PDF on your website. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to save the PNG right now. So I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to leave all this. If this is higher than 96, I would leave it about 96 because this is just for a website. So I'm going to go ahead and leave all the rest by itself and hit export. Then I'm going to go to File and Export again. This time I'm going to select Adobe PDF Print, not Interactive Print. I'm going to go ahead and save it in the same spot, save it, and then now make sure this is high quality up here, and then go ahead and hit export. I don't need to change anything else. And what will happen is if you have things set up with Adobe, what will happen is it may pop up and open up in Adobe Reader, but if you don't, then don't worry about it. All right, so we got everything set with InDesign. We don't really have to do anything else here, so I'm going to go ahead and close out. And then I'm going to go ahead and get into my classroom. And I'll just, you know what, I'm going to go into incognito mode because I want to sign in as a student just to show you how to upload. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, I'll just sign into Gmail. I'm going to go ahead and sign in, and it's going to be, this is my Gmail for Calvary Schools as a student, so not my classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and sign this in. I have a separate account just to do this. Boy, that's the right password. Looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to go up here to my Waffle, my Google Apps, and I'm going to go to Classroom. And then I'm going to go to the class. I'm going to submit this to, let's submit it to 7th period. I don't know if I have yet or not. So this would be you. You got to turn in your project. Looks like I already did. It looks like I turned it in already, but I'm going to, well, you know what? I'm going to go back to my classroom real quick. Hold on. And I'm going to unturn it in if I can do that. If I can return it, that's what I need to do. So I'm going to go to classes here. I'll go to, excuse me, my graphic design class, and this is for 7th period, I believe. Go to classwork. Go to the PARC project. Here's all my students' projects here. I'm going to go down to me, which is right. I don't see me on here. Maybe I didn't. Wait, I thought I turned it in. No. Oh, there it is right there. So that's weird. So I'm going to return this. Oh, that's probably why I didn't do it. So I'll put a 50, and then I'll hit return. Okay. Now, I think after this returns, what I can do is I can go back and I can turn it in. So I'm going to hit refresh on this. Yeah, there it is right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and it says it's graded. Here, let's view assignment. Here, I'm sorry, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and what you would do is you would add or create. I don't know if I'm going to quit out of that, but I'm just go ahead and add it. So from file, and then I'll get it from my folder. So what happens is I have my folder up right here, and I want it to be the PDF that I submit. So here it is, and I can just drag it on here. You can hit select file from menu, and it'll give you a dialog box to get into this, but I'm just going to go ahead and drag it in like that. All right, and then just upload it, and then there we go. Now I have 2 projects submitted for this, which isn't really what you want, but that's okay. So then I can hit resubmit and so forth. So I'm not going to do that right now, but that's what you would do. You'd probably hit submit, and you'd be ready to go. So that's how you would get it to be graded. Now, how to get it on your website's a different story. So we'll do that. Let's go here. I'm going to go to my waffle. I'm going to go to my site, and I'm going to go ahead and click here. And here's my site right here. And I went to the new sites. I don't know why they just don't automatically go to this. I don't know why anybody would want to use the old sites. They're terrible. So if you notice, I've already put it on here, and I don't know if I put it down here. I have. So, but how to get it like this is what you do is you want to go ahead and click and drag and put a layout there. Then what you do is you bring your folder up, and you're going to bring the PNG, and you're going to drag it right on top like that. That makes it just really easy. And I want to show as much of the flyer as I can, so I'm going to have to resize it a little bit to get it to where I can see. See, it just depends how you do this and what size you make it, and to get everything in there. That's pretty good right there. Well, I guess the Halloween's getting cut off a little bit. Oh well, it's good enough. So then what you would do is you would add all this text here, and I'm not going to do that. You would click here, and you'd go ahead and add the title, and then click here and just talk about how you created this. But what you want to do, though, is you want to also, besides that, you want to be able to have somebody click on this and show a PDF file. So to do that, what you're going to have to do is open up your drive, your Google Drive, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I have to go to this account here. I'm going to go to my Google Drive here. There it is right there. And then what you have to do is you have to copy this PDF into here. Now I've already done that. If you scroll down here, I've already done that a previous time, so I'm not going to add it again. But if I go down, it should show up under P, probably past it. And actually it has my last name on it, so we'll just use this one though. So what I would want to do is after I copied and pasted this in, well, let's just do it. So because this doesn't have my last name in it, I'm going to go ahead and add it. So there we go. It's going to add it to it. It's uploaded. There it is right there. So I'm going to right click on this and get shareable link. Because what happens is we need to put it in our drive in order to share it with people from our website. We can't, this is where it's going to pull it from our website to give to people. So to let them see as a PDF or maybe to print it. So I get the shareable link. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to click on this, and notice there is an insert link button right there. And that's where I'm going to paste that shareable link and apply. So now when I go to publish, it's going to publish, and then I go to view published site. So here's the website I'll publish. This is the one I did previous, but here's this one. Notice that if I click, it opens a PDF file of my project. Nice. So if I ever wanted to print it, a nice PDF copy of it, that's what I would do. You never ever want to put a link to your PDF or to your PNG or your JPEG if you do a JPEG, because it's just going to look ugly. You always want to be able to click on your project and have it go to a PDF so you can print this out. So that's everything. That's creating the flyer, that's submitting it to my classroom, and then this is getting it up on your website so you can share it with people, show people, print it, whatever. And we're going to continue to have all our projects on here. I'm going to go ahead and probably get rid of this because I don't want this. So I'm just going to delete this whole thing, and just stick with this. Notice I do have 2 periods for the 2 periods I'm teaching this, and I do the same thing for both periods. So yeah, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask me.